Warner Bros. Avalanche was apparently not done giving us trailers for Hogwarts Legacy, as I woke up this morning to find a 2.5-minute long official launch trailer. As always, I'm going to break it all down for you in this video, and I would let the trailer play out at the end, but my first upload, it got copyright, so I'll leave a link to the full trailer below. Let's begin. The first shot shows a view of the distant castle, and we can see the Grand Staircase Tower, the Headmaster's Office, Ravenclaw Tower, the Viaduct Courtyard, the Viaduct Bridge, the Herbology Buildings, the Central Tower, and the Astronomy Tower is behind the Central Tower. You can kind of see it from this perspective. The camera is floating in front of a large signpost over a pathway out on the countryside, and this signpost has a sign for Hogsmeade Station, which is where the Hogwarts Express stops as students get off to go to school, and then under that is Arranshire and Brockborough, which I would assume are the names of two wizarding hamlets that we can visit out in the countryside. Now, we can't ignore the historic Hogsmeade signs, which are advertising drinks, possibly butterbeer, merchant goods, potion supplies, and there's also a sign for the graveyard and no trolls allowed. So sorry to tell a lot of you on my channel you'll not be welcome in Hogsmeade. Now, the signs that are harder to see in this one is, I think this is a sign for Hogwarts School of Witchcraft and Wizardry, and then there's a Forbidden Forest sign, and I can't really make out what the other sign is. This next scene, we can see the player character who's a member of House Gryffindor in this case, entering into the Great Hall, really giving off that new student where do I belong type vibe. And then the scene cuts to the same character in front of the fat lady's portrait, which is of course the entrance to Gryffindor's common room. The player opens up his field guide, which is basically a book that lore-wise is given to us to help us catch up in our studies because we're starting school as a 5th year student. But mechanically speaking, this book is going to basically be your menu interface screen where you can see things such as your quests, gear, map, challenges, activities, talents, collectibles, settings, and so on. Now, the narration during this part is done by Professor Weasley.
In light of your unique situation, joining us as a 5th year, we've devised something extraordinary to ensure your success.
Who is the deputy headmistress and transfiguration teacher of the school. And then we have a few shots of the castle, and I want to pay attention to the audio here, as the player character says, "I can't believe I'm here."
Can't believe I'm here.
That might not really mean anything, but what first came to my mind is that the player character sounds like they knew of Hogwarts before, they're just never invited to go there for whatever reason until now. Then we have a shot of the herbology classroom with Professor Garlick, and students seem to be getting their first lesson on mandrakes. It looks like they all appear to be putting in some ear protection. And when we actually get to experience this class as a player ourselves, I'm sure that many of us will be feeling quite nostalgic as we start to think of when Harry, Ron, and Hermione had their first mandrake lesson. And then we're brought into the transfiguration classroom with Professor Weasley, who turns some type of object into a butterfly. And then we get a nice shot of the overall classroom with a few notable students that you can see in the background. This next scene is one of my favorites because this appears to be the Beast classroom, or Care of Magical Beasts. I'm not sure what it will be called in this game. I'm not sure if the name of this teacher has been revealed to us yet. I don't think it has, but she conjures up a unicorn, which is pretty cool. I think that might be a sign that we may be meeting a unicorn or two out in the Forbidden Forest. I'm really excited to experience this class for many, many reasons. And in the next shot, you can see that it will be an outdoor classroom, which of course makes sense when dealing with magical creatures. If anyone's wondering what this creature is right here, I believe it's a Diricall. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that correctly. I am much more of a Harry Potter fan than I am a Fantastic Beasts fan. And these are flightless, fluffy birds that have the ability to disappear and reappear. Right here we have a few shots of the Charms classroom, which is taught by Professor Ronan, and then back to the mandrake being pulled out of its pot, and then right into Defense Against the Dark Arts with Professor Hecat, and she casts Levioso on who many of us believe to be Hector Weasley. This next scene is an interesting one because the player character appears to be getting their wand, and this gentleman must be an Ollivander, and you can even see the O pin on his coat. I'm assuming that this scene takes place in Ollivander's wand shop in Hogsmeade, and before some of you correct me, there is an Ollivander's in Hogsmeade. It's not just Diagon Alley. And then we get a shot of the vivarium with House Elf Deke, nothing new here, but this next shot, it looks all sorts of crazy. The player character is accompanied by Professor Fig, the magical theory teacher, and they seem to be pretty far away from the castle, perhaps on a quest to learn more about ancient magic. And this dungeony place is definitely giving off ancient magic vibes. Very, very exciting to think about. And then we find ourselves back in Hogsmeade, and you get a view of the Three Broomsticks Tavern, which is pretty cool and important to the lore of Harry Potter. And none other than the dark wizard Victor Rookwood walks in. And according to the audio, he sounds like he's trying to kidnap us.
No need for theatrics. I'm only here for this one anyway.
And wow, this scene right here is something special. As you can see, the player is in some type of ancient magical temple. And you may notice that this huge monument drops a magical tear out of its eye into a bowl below. And those of you that remember your Harry Potter lore, this must be a pensieve, which is a powerful magical item that's used to review and store memories. In this case, it seems like we'll be looking at some memories that go way, way back, perhaps to more ancient times.
I have a rare ability to see whispers of ancient magic.
Extraordinary.
I have a rare ability to see whispers of ancient magic, says the player character. And we already knew we had a tie and ability to manipulate ancient magic, but hearing it said like this is certainly interesting. It's starting to make a lot of sense why dark wizards and goblins that are leading rebellions may be after our character if we're able to actually lead them to, powerful ancient magic sites. Now, this scene also seems to be showing the moment that your character makes the final choice of their wand. And the cinematics here are showing us our intimate connection to the wand that we choose. In the next scene, the player walks up to an ancient-looking book hovering over perhaps another pensieve. Starting to really think that a main part of our journey will be discovering pensieves in the world to help us uncover the truth behind some ancient magic to make sure that it doesn't make its way into the wrong hands. This is a pretty cool scene with Professor Fig, who in the narration says, "The path we're on is terribly dangerous, but I do not know where it leads." We got to see the player encountering a graphorn in the wild and a troll in Hogsmeade that seems to be consumed by corrupted magic as his eyes are bright and red. The player character casts, I think, Depulso on the troll and it banishes it away. The next few scenes start to get even crazier as we watch this giant construct rise and seemingly catch Ranrock, who is the leader of the Goblin Rebellion, by surprise. And a little bit later in the trailer, we watch that same giant construct attack not only the goblins, but also Professor Fig and the player character. So I would imagine that this construct is guarding something perhaps really important and ancient. The room that this scene takes place in also looks really familiar, as it kind of looks like the same room that we got to see in the State of Play video, where you have all these magical looking portal type mirrors. Now, there's also a short scene where the player and Fig are running across a magically held up stone bridge as a bunch of corrupted goblins chase after them. This looks like a really cool area, and I don't know about you guys, but it gets me really excited to explore the open world and see everything that it has to offer. There's also a few wizards that you can see in the background, and if I had to guess, I'd say that they're working with the goblins or perhaps taking advantage of the goblins and maybe even corrupting them for their own purposes. I will say, though, it does kind of look like Professor Sharp, though. There's a few scenes that we've already seen before. We have Highwing, the hippogriff, being attacked by poachers, and then this scene where Professor Fig casts Reparo, which repairs a bridge that leads to what appears to be some ancient magical site. We then encounter Rookwood on the streets of Hogsmeade, and he says, "I've ensured we have a moment to ourselves." And then onto a scene which does appear to be one of the missions that you'll be doing with companion Nat Sinai. From everything we can see here, it looks like that Hippogriff Highwing rescue mission. This scene right here was actually really cool, as we got to watch the player flying through the Forbidden Forest very close to the ground. And we already know that if you want to fly at your top speeds, being closer to the ground will help you achieve that. And then on to the few final scenes, and the first one brings us into a mission that most of us have probably seen already, as some content creators got to play and share this mission with the public, and it's called Fire and Vice for any of you guys that want to search it. And this is a mission where you go to a dragon fighting arena and ultimately save a dragon. In the final scene of the launch trailer, I'm not actually sure what's really going on here. The player and Professor Deputy Headmistress Weasley, I think it is, are holding up cups in the Great Hall. And you'll even notice that some other students in the background are also holding up cups or just their hands. They're clearly cheering to something. Maybe it's just a simple celebration. I guess it could possibly be like the House Cup celebration, but it just doesn't really seem, it kind of seems a little gloomy in the room. So I'm starting to think maybe, just maybe, they're preparing for, you know, a big battle of some sort, and this could even be like the pump-up speech. And that'll be it for today's video. Thank you all so much for watching. If I missed anything or got anything wrong, please let me know below in the comments. I haven't looked at anybody else's take on this trailer. Right when I saw it, I just got right to work on this video. And I'll catch you all on the next one.